Well, there you are. Welcome to my garden. Thought I'd come, we're working on back here today. And that's right, glass of water and a shovel in a no-dig garden. Show you what we're doing. Come on, let's plant. It's definitely fall. I can't believe how late in the season it's getting. It's getting dark much earlier. What am I doing out here with a glass of water and a shovel? Well, we've taken the sweet potatoes out of the raised bed. We got a bunch of basil over here in the side. I'm going to clip some of that off. We're going to get it rooting. They're going to join those other ones we're going to pot up here just directly. We're going to have a ton of Christmas basil. Then I'm going to go ahead and take some of this soil and freshen this up, and we're going to go ahead and plant. So come on, let's plant. I'm just going to take these in big pieces, and once they start rooting, then I'll go ahead and clean those up. But there's almost no damaged leaves on those at all. Let me grab a few of these, get them in this water. Probably not going to take them all tonight, but this is what we're going to do. I think I need another glass. Yep. That's about all I'm going to get in there. You've never known me to bite off more than I can chew, have you? We've got 3 projects going on. We're going to go ahead and get seeds started in here tonight, and then I have to build a top for it. That's one project. We're expanding the garden. That's another project. And then we have the basil and the sweet potatoes in the greenhouse that we need to up pot. That's project 3. Well, I got all the sweet potatoes dug, so that's good. Beans, we're just about there. This round of corn's making nice little ears, and I think we're gonna have the weather to get some. So we're waiting on that. Our Swiss chard's doing really well. We'll go over the rest of that tomorrow in the review. Let's go ahead and get planting. All I'm doing here is taking some of that top mulch off of here. I'll freshen this up with a little bit of soil. This is what came out of those bags. There's a lot of good roots in here, which means there's a lot of good light. So I think what we're going to do is we'll kind of do this in chapters. See what we got here to play with. We got plenty of turnips in. I just grabbed a few things. We're going to kind of do this square foot method. Has anybody ever said you can't have enough beets? I don't think we're going to plant any turnips. We're definitely going to plant some cabbage. We've got bok choy growing good over there, and I want to have a nice little batch of cabbage. So that's going to be a big chapter. And we got tons of radishes growing. So let me grab some cardboard for the carrots, and we'll get to planting. And just look at that. We got a nice little squash plant coming on after the bugs went away. Now we do have a bunch of beets in different stages of growth throughout the garden, and we are going to go ahead and cover those up with those mini totes, those little mini greenhouses. But it's going to be nice to have some in a cold frame. So I'm just going to make 2 rows, just lightly make 2 small rows. Beets are really cold hardy, especially if you give them a little protection. So I'm not going to overplant these, but I'm not going to underplant them either. I am going to kind of space these out. I'm putting a couple together. Now each one of these seed pods definitely has a couple seeds in them. But one thing about beets that I've learned, they do kind of grow up out of the ground, and they do kind of push each other out of the way. So unless I'm going to get great big giant softball sized beets, this kind of spacing is not bad. Now typically I'd have put the rest of those down there, but for the winter garden I'm going to be a little more selective. Okay, spinach. Spinach really bolts whenever it's warm, and I planted it a couple times, and we've got a couple plants up. But we've had some warm days, and on the ground there's some critters that really like that spinach. So 2 little rows here in the garden ought to do us really well. We'll go take a look at the carrots we planted the other day. They're doing well, but these are fun. These are multicolored. Don't know what we're going to get. And I'm going to put about half of this on here. Yes, I'm just sprinkling it on top. Just sprinkle it on top. Soil contact, and we'll give that a drink of water and cover that with cardboard here in just a second. Now our cabbages do really, really well in the cold weather, especially if there's a little protection on them. And they'll be giants by spring, hopefully. You saw how big they grew last year. So I am going to be a little more deliberate. I'm going to space these out just a little bit. This is really your square foot method. You kind of make a grid, and then you make your indentations. You space it out evenly, kind of like the little holes on a dice. Well, look at it. I'm going to put 1 or 2 seeds in each one, and then I'm supposed to thin them out, but if you know me, it's really hard for me to thin anything out. And then we'll have a surprise up here when I finish moving that basil out. So there's our first October planting in the raised beds. I'm doing a little more than Roost Stout. I'm only going to need a small piece of this cardboard. Yeah, that'll do it. With your carrots, the trick with your carrots is they have to stay moist. Cool weather, warm weather, it doesn't matter. Once they germinate, then you can start watering them deeply every couple days. But until then, they have to stay moist. That's why I like to use a cardboard. You can use a pine board, that's just fine. Now the rest of this, we're just going to water in as normal. And this soil is damp to begin with, so we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to try to work on the top this weekend. And as you can see, the carrots are coming up really well right here. I've got a couple radishes from the edge. We've been harvesting radishes out of this bed for quite a little while. That's another reason I don't want to put more radishes out there. And these spinach are just now kicking in. These turnips are doing terrific. My purple beans are setting beans. This corn, we'll see if that warm spell lets us get any. And these purple beans are making really good, and we got little female squash on. So we'll see whether or not we get any squash. We are going to use those plastic totes as little mini greenhouses here and there in the garden this year. But I'm also going to set up one cold frame using bales of sawdust. That's going to work really well. And you can do this too. I hope you're keeping track of all the projects I got going. I really intend to get them all done here before it gets cold. And I sure hope you join me for each and every one of those. Now most men come up to the house with a bouquet of flowers. I'm coming up with a bouquet of basil, and I guarantee you it smells a whole lot better than the flowers. And we're gonna make some pesto. Well, I'm gonna root some of this, but we're gonna eat some of it too. And if you wanna learn more about the deep mulch, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. If you wanna learn about the living soil, click that link right there and I'll meet you right back in the garden. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant. Let's go plant garden.